let's begin. One lovely afternoon, Alice sat dreamily under a tree, listening to her sister reading from a history book. She daydreamed aloud about the magical world she often thought about. It was a world of her own, where anything was possible. And suddenly, Alice saw a white rabbit looking at a large pocket watch. And the rabbit said to himself, I'm late! Alice thought this was very curious indeed, so she followed the white rabbit. Run! And she watched as the white rabbit hopped into a hole beneath a big tree. And without thinking, Alice followed the white rabbit. And suddenly, Alice was falling. Her dress popped up a parachute. And Alice floated down and down and down and down. And after a long fall, she reached the bottom. Alice could see the white rabbit running. And Alice called, oh, Mr. Rabbit, wait please. When she turned the corner, Alice discovered a tiny door. And Alice said, when she tried to open the door lock spoke. You are much too big. Try the bottle on the table. So Alice drank carefully from a little bottle marked Drink Me. Suddenly, Alice became so small that the bottle was huge. Then Alice ate a cake marked Eat Me. Oopsie. And Alice ate the cake. And she instantly grew to be a giant. Then Alice started to cry. And soon there was a large pool of tears at her feet. So she drank what was left in the little bottle, hoping to return to normal size. She did shrink, but became so small that soon she was floating on an ocean of her tears. And she was swept through the keyhole. On the other side of the door, Alice saw a dodo bird who was heading for the shore, and Alice followed and called, please help me. Then the dodo led a silly race that was supposed to dry everyone off. But since everyone except the dodo was in the water, it didn't work at all. Alice walked and into a forest glade, saying, and she soon saw a strange little house ahead. And suddenly, the door flew open, and out raced a white rabbit. He began scolding Alice. Marianne, what are you doing here? Run inside and fetch my glove. And Alice, having grown accustomed to the curious things that were happening all around her, followed his instructions. Alice looked through the chest of drawers, but she did not find any gloves. She finds a box full of delicious-looking cookies, and she couldn't resist tasting one. She had barely finished the cookie when she felt herself shoot up like a telescope. Shoo! Alice had grown so big that she no longer fit inside inside the rabbit's house. Her arms stuck out the windows, and her feet stuck out of the doors. And she could hear the white rabbit shouting. The rabbit called to the doorbell. Then Alice reached down a small garden nearby and pulled a tiny carrot from the ground. As soon as Alice nibbled the carrot, she began to scream, shoo! And now Alice was tiny again. Alice was now so small that the grass seemed like a gigantic forest. And she peeked through the tall grass and saw a caterpillar sitting on top of a mushroom. He sat quietly with its arms folded, smoking a long water pipe and blowing smoke rings in the air. Poof, poof. As Alice approached, the caterpillar slowly asked, "Who are you?" And Alice replied, "I came so many times today, I don't even know myself." And the caterpillar told her that one side of the mushroom will make her grow taller, and the other side will make her grow shorter. And after that, the caterpillar turned into a butterfly. Shoo! And fluttered away. As Alice took a bite from one piece of the mushroom, she suddenly saw upward growing taller than the treetops. And Alice quickly nibbled a bit of the other piece at the mushroom and swung again, to her normal size. And she kept the pieces of mushroom in case she might need them later. As she looked through many paths through the woods, Alice wondered, which way shall I go? Alice said. And when there was no one else inside, Alice heard singing. Then she saw a grinning mouth and two bright eyes. And finally, a whole body of a cat. Meow, meow. And Alice exclaimed, "Why, you're a cat." "A Cheshire Cat." "A Cheshire Cat," the cat replies. The Cheshire Cat had an odd way of disappearing, ching, and reappearing, ching, reappearing, ching, and disappearing, ching, and reappearing, ching, disappearing, ching, as he spoke. "Go see the Mad Hatter and the March Hare," said the cat, as he ching, disappeared again. "I don't want to be among mad people," Alice said. And the cat said, "We are all mad here. I'm mad, you're mad." And the cat vanished. Alice then walked and walked and walked, and she arrived at the house of the March Hare to find a very unusual tea party going on. And Alice said politely, "I'm sorry to interrupt your birthday party." But Mad Hatter said, "This isn't a birthday party, it's an unbirthday party." Okay. Alice sits down here. and she tried to enjoy the party. But although it was a tea party, she never got any tea. And March Hare said to Alice, take some more tea. And she poured invisible tea into a cup. Manhattan and March Hare then dashed around crazily, changing seats and talking in riddles.
Desk. I don't know.
Alice replied, and suddenly the white rabbit raced in. Really bad, he was late. I'm late. And then Manhattan and March Hare tried to fix the poor rabbit's watch. But ended up destroying it. Yes. And Alice said,
This is the stupidest tea party I've ever been to.
And she left. Alice tried to follow the white, but she didn't know which way to go. She was hopelessly lost. Suddenly, the Cheshire Cat appeared again.
Meow.
And pointed to a secret door through a tree. In the distance, Alice saw a castle with beautiful gardens. She thought to herself, that it was very curious, but since everything was curious that day, she decided to go in anyway. As Alice entered, she saw a gardener shaped like plain hearts, busy painting white roses red.
The queen only liked red roses, and they planted white ones by mistake,
he said. And just then, Alice heard the sounds of trumpets. And the palace doors opened. Pop! A long line of plain-cut soldiers marched out, shouting, "The Queen!
The Queen!
The
The
Queen!
Queen!
The Queen! The Queen! The Queen!"
The Queen!
And followed by the Queen of Hearts. After the soldier had passed, the Queen of Hearts approached, and everyone was afraid of the Queen. And the Queen was so angry with the gardener, and she shouted, "Ahirahe!" Then the Queen stopped and stared at Alice, and the Queen asked, "Can you play croquet?"
Yes.
shouted Alice, and the Queen roared, "Come on then!" And a long line of plain-cut soldiers marched out, followed by the Queen, and Alice joined the procession, wondering very much what would happen next. Then the Queen's curious game of croquet had he taught dogs instead of balls, and flamingos instead of mullets. Alice soon found that the Queen would do anything to win at the croquet. Even she! But the Cheshire Cat tricked her. He turned invisible and tricked the Queen. Made her fall. When the Queen got back on her feet, she was furious. And her face as red as a lobster's. She blamed Alice for her fall. And the Queen, the Queen shouted, and the guards marched Alice to the courtroom. They march and march and march Alice to the courtroom, and Alice found that the Queen was the judge. And the Queen once again shouted, Hare! And Alice reached into her apron pocket and found the piece of the mushroom she had saved. Biting into it, Alice began to grow and grow and grow, and everyone in the courtroom panicked. But as Alice scolded the Queen for her bad manners, she began to grow smaller and smaller, and soon she was back to her normal size. When Alice was no longer a giant, the Queen ordered her soldiers to capture the girl. The Queen continued to shout, and the Queen of Hearts and long line of guards chased after Alice. Mad Hatter, March Hare, and also the White Rabbit. They all seem to be calling Alice! 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 And their voices sounded faint and far away. They all seemed to be calling her name. Alice! Alice! And Alice's sister gently shook her away. Alice! And Alice found herself back in the garden. And she said sleepily,
I remember such a strange night.
and her sister smiled, and they walked back home, 30 deep.